welcome to my channel. My name is Maggie Hanari and here is all about mental health awareness. So today I have decided to talk about a topic which is highly sensitive, and that is childhood trauma. So today we're going to be learning about childhood traumas, unpacking them, and just finding ways that you can be able to cope or heal them. And before we get started, I want to give a quick disclaimer. I am not a professional, I'm not a therapist, I've never been to a therapy before. So I'm just here to share my experience. A couple of weeks ago, I've been wondering why I behave the way I do, why are certain patterns in my life. Why am I having certain patterns in my life? A lot of questions have been roaming in my head, and so I decided to find answers, and that is how I came across childhood trauma content. And I decided, why not share this with my audience, because I know it will be helpful. So yeah, so what is childhood trauma? Childhood trauma, this is according to the National Institute of Mental Health. Childhood trauma is defined as the experience of an event by a child that is emotionally painful or distressful, which often results in lasting mental and physical effects. This definition clearly sums up how we behave and as adults, and we don't know why we behave the way we do. We tend to do things and then we get to question ourselves, man, how did I even get here? And so that is all childhood trauma. And we know that we have childhood traumas when we experience anger issues. Sometimes you tend to blow things out of proportion. Something small, you just blast out, and then you keep on wondering why. Even when you ask yourself, why do you get so angry quickly, you don't know. And so that is one element of childhood trauma. And then anxiety issues. People with anxiety issues tend to, like, you are dreading what tomorrow may bring. You're so scared of what might happen next, and I'm a victim of that. Man, I get so scared, and everything to me is so big. I just even making decision, I just have to think and think and think, even things that I do not have to think. So to me, everything is so big, and I can tell you, it's not something good, because it really drains you. So yeah, and I'm glad I came to learn that all stems from childhood traumas. And then we have attempted suicide, people who tend to be suicidal. And then we have a string of toxic relationship where you're just jumping from one toxic person to another. You begin to tolerate, you don't know until you have accepted that as part of life. And then we have Unresponsiveness. These are the people that we call lazy. When they just want to lay on the sofa, they're demotivated, nothing is interesting to them, they're just there, they are just existing and just letting life happen to them. And then we have depression, and then emotional unstable, where sometimes you're okay, sometimes you're not, and you just don't know why, you just can't figure it out. So that are some of the elements of childhood traumas, and they are caused by a number of factors, including emotional neglect. Maybe your parents left you at an early age, or maybe you have grown up where you have never been shown love, so you feel abandoned. Another thing is physical abuse. As a child, especially growing up in a typical African family, where you get thorough punishment for the mistakes you do, and this really makes you feel so much unloved. And then we have verbal abuse, people calling you names, those nicknames, maybe because you're chubby, you're skinny, or because you don't perform well at school. They just give you names, and this really affects you, and even it affects how you perceive life. And then you have sexual abuse, maybe it's rape, molestation, or even somebody touching you inappropriately as a child. So this really traumatizes you. And then divorce, watching your parents going separate ways, the drama that comes with divorce, and how painful it gets, seeing your parents fight. Maybe you're used to a certain kind of life, and then it's no longer there. Just watching people you love going through pain can be one cause of traumatic events, cause of trauma. And then we have bullying, maybe in school, when you are as a child, people bully you, you feel so small, you feel unworthy. And then we have too much responsibility as a child. When you are a firstborn, you tend to you are responsible for your young ones, like the way they do, you have to do most of the work. And then you find yourself like you don't get to enjoy your childhood, play like the rest. So it really affects you. Yeah, and then and then if we don't get to address these traumatic responses, it really affects our adult life. Some of us think that when maybe my anxiety, with time my anxiety is gonna end, or maybe when I get love, or when I'm married. It never ends unless you get to address these childhood traumas, and how do these childhood trauma manifest in our adult life. We have insecurity. Some of us we're just so insecure about ourselves. We don't believe we deserve love. We don't believe we deserve great things. We just see life as a negative aspect. So yeah, and then we have low self-worth, that is as a result of insecurities. And then we have fear of unknown, as I've said earlier. These anxieties, you are not sure what tomorrow may bring. You're so scared. Like for me, having to identify that anxiety is one of my childhood trauma is because when my mom left the country, I was still a teenager, and we had to live with our aunts, just having to shift from one house to another. It really traumatizes you, because once you have settled, you feel here is good, you don't know where tomorrow you will be thrown. So that really has affected me up to date. I just don't like putting off things until tomorrow. I feel things have to happen today, because tomorrow maybe something bad might happen, maybe I won't be able to accomplish. Yeah, so dreading about tomorrow, and it's really bad, and it drains you. And then we have tolerating abusive behaviors, being with narcissists, and then we have codependency on others, just having to seek validation from others. So yeah, that is how this childhood trauma manifests itself. But we believe that we can be able to break these chains, we can be able to break these patterns, because we want what is best for our parents. And I can just say a round of applause for they called millennials nowadays. I love parents of nowadays, because they tend to show love to their child. They tell them that they love them. They document their journey on social media. So it really, I think these children that are growing from this generation are really lucky to just get to have knowing that their parents love them. So how can we heal our inner child? So number one is you get to identify them. You cannot start dealing with what you don't know. The first way to deal with the problem is just getting to identify these traumas, and you see patterns. If things repeatedly happens to you, then ask yourself what is wrong, why are these things happening, and then that is how you get to identify, I have anxiety issues, I am controlling. That is how you get to, after you identify them, then it will be easier for you to get to work with them, and then you can decide to go for therapy. I highly recommend. I have not been to therapy, but I am looking forward towards going to therapy, especially now that I am young. I'm single. I don't have a lot to deal with, so I feel this is the best step that I can be able to address my childhood trauma, so that I can have healthy relationships in future. And then you can decide to write a letter to your younger self, address those issues, just talk it out. Something that you feel that you're not comfortable to talk maybe to a therapy or a friend, because you're just scared they will judge you. So make sure you write that letter to your younger self, and then you can reparent yourself. Reparenting yourself means that you give yourself those things that you felt denied as a child. If you were never bought things that you love, you can just decide to spoil yourself, love yourself, make yourself be a priority, just reparent yourself, and many more. Read a lot of content, watch a lot of videos that talk about childhood traumas, that talk about mental health. Just be open to learning, and just just do everything in your power, and always pray. You can always pray, and I believe that God will show you the way. Yeah guys, so I just feel like I couldn't keep quiet about this. So for me, one of the big things as I have turned 23 is just getting to identify my traumas, and I am so excited because I know my journey towards healing has just begun. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. Please comment your biggest takeaway, and just share your experience, and just you can also write me an email and just let us just get to interact. So that is the end of today's video. I'm really looking forward towards creating more of great content and just having to hear from you. So until next time, be beautiful, address those traumas, and just know that we care, we love you, and God bless you. Bye.